You'll never believe how a quiet girl, overshadowed and ignored, managed to bring down a ruthless boss without a single loud word. And it all happened behind the scenes of a small chicken restaurant. What if I told you that justice doesn't always roar? Sometimes it's the tiniest spark that ignites a huge change. In this story, you'll see how patience, kindness, and cleverness can outsmart cruelty, proving that even the quietest people can be the strongest. And stay tuned, because the twist at the end will change everything you thought you knew about power and justice. Here's the secret. Sometimes, the smallest act of courage can shake the biggest empire. Want to learn how the underdog turned everything around, silently but surely? Before we dive in, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, and hit that like button if you believe justice can come from the quietest places. Because what you're about to hear might just inspire you to stand up, in your own way, when it matters most. I walked into the small chicken restaurant. The place was noisy and busy. The smell of fried chicken filled the air. I could hear dishes clattering and people chatting. But near the counter, Miss Sharp was there. She was a tall woman with a sharp face. She wore a neat uniform and always looked serious. Miss Sharp liked to be in control. She never smiled. Instead, she scowled at everyone. She shouted often, "Hurry up! Faster!" She grabbed tips from the cash jar and kept them for herself. She liked to criticize the staff. She yelled at Jamie, the chef, for every small mistake. At the back of the restaurant, I saw Alex. She was small and quiet. She had long dark hair and wore the same uniform as the others. She stayed in the corner, never saying much. She looked sad sometimes, but she never complained. She just kept working. Miss Sharp was mean to the staff. She pushed and insulted them. She even yelled at Alex if she made a tiny mistake. The workers all felt scared and tired. They wanted to leave, but they stayed because they needed the job. One day, Miss Sharp shouted at Jamie, "Your food is no good. You're fired." Jamie looked sad. She didn't want to leave, but she knew she couldn't stay where she was treated badly. She packed her things and left quietly. The staff watched her go. No one said a word. They just felt sad inside. Alex looked down. She wished things could be better. She hoped that someday the boss would be kind and fair. As I stood watching, I felt a little hope. Maybe someday someone would help. Maybe justice would come quietly. I hoped that the mean boss, Miss Sharp, would learn her lesson. But for now, I knew things were not right. And so I stayed quiet too. I wished for a better day. I wished for kindness and fairness. I hoped that someday, the quiet ones like Alex could be strong. That was the first step. And I knew, deep down, something good might happen soon. I woke up the next morning, feeling a little scared. After Jamie left, everything in the restaurant seemed quieter and sadder. I sat at my station and looked around. The restaurant was big, but now it felt empty. I wished things could get better. I wondered if anyone would stand up to Miss Sharp someday. Miss Sharp was already there. She was standing behind the counter, looking at her phone. She was smiling, but I knew that smile was fake. She always acted like she was the boss of everything. I tried to stay calm and do my work. Suddenly, she looked up and saw me. She scowled and shouted, "Hurry up, Alex, the customers are waiting." I jumped a little. I felt my heart beat faster. I wanted to say something back, but I knew it would only make her angrier. Instead, I kept quiet and moved faster. I didn't want her to yell more. In the corner, I saw Tom walking toward the restaurant. He is my boyfriend. He always looks calm and nice. He didn't rush like the other workers. He was holding a small bag and smiling softly. Tom came to stand next to me. "Good morning," he whispered. "Are you okay?" I nodded a little, but I felt worried inside. I didn't want to talk too much. I just wanted to get through the day. Miss Sharp saw Tom and looked at him crossly. "Who are you?" she snapped. Tom smiled politely. "I am just here to try the chicken," he said. "I heard it's very good." Miss Sharp looked surprised. "You? Just a customer? Well, I suppose you can try it, but don't cause trouble," she said coldly. Tom nodded. "I will just enjoy the food," he said kindly. I watched Tom as he sat down in a corner. I felt a little better knowing he was there. I knew he was planning something, but I didn't know what. Still, I felt hope. As the morning went on, the restaurant was busy. Customers came in, and Jamie's food made them smile. Jamie was very good at cooking. She always made nice food and made people happy. But I knew she was gone now. Miss Sharp had yelled at her so much that Jamie decided to leave. She didn't want to stay where she was not appreciated. Miss Sharp was being even more mean now. She shouted at the staff for small mistakes. She took some tips from the cash box when no one was looking. She called me slow and stupid. Just because I dropped a tray once. I felt sad and small inside. I wanted to speak up, but I knew it wouldn't help. Suddenly, Miss Sharp looked at Jamie's empty station. She shouted, "Where is Jamie? I want her back in the kitchen." Nobody answered. Jamie was gone. She had left for good, tired of Miss Sharp's yelling and cruelty. I looked at Tom. He nodded to me, as if he knew something. I felt a little brave. I knew it was time for me to do something, even if it was just a small thing. Later, Tom finished eating and got up. He walked to the counter where Miss Sharp was standing. She was busy counting tips, looking proud of herself. Tom cleared his throat and said loudly, "Miss Sharp, I want to tell you something." She looked annoyed. "What now?" she asked. Tom smiled gently. "Jamie is a very good chef. Her food is special. If you treat her well, she could come back. The restaurant would be better with her talent." Miss Sharp froze for a moment. Her face turned red. She looked at Tom and then at the staff. Nobody spoke. We all watched to see what she would do. She looked angry, but I could see her pride was hurt. She wanted to be the boss who was always right. But Tom's words made her feel small. Maybe she knew she was wrong about Jamie. For a moment, she just stood there. Then she looked down and said softly, "Fine. If Jamie wants to come back, she can. But she better behave." Tom nodded. "She will," he said simply. After that, Miss Sharp didn't say much. She seemed quieter than before. I felt a little hope inside me. Maybe things could change, even if slowly. When the day ended, I felt tired but different. I was still afraid of Miss Sharp, but I also felt a little stronger. I knew I didn't have to stay silent forever. Sometimes, saying one small thing can make a big difference. As I cleaned my station, I saw Tom talking quietly with Jamie. She looked happy to see him. I smiled softly. Maybe, someday, everything would be better. And I thought about my wish. I hoped that one day, kindness and patience would win. I knew that even in a small place like this, quiet acts of courage could change everything. Just like a tiny spark can start a big fire. That's what I believed. And I kept that hope safe inside my heart. The restaurant was busy again. The smell of fried chicken filled the air. The workers moved quickly, trying to keep up. Miss Sharp was at her desk. She watched everything with sharp eyes. She was still the boss, but I saw her face was a little different today. Miss Sharp was angry. She was angry because Jamie left the restaurant. Jamie was a good chef. She was kind and made the best food. But Miss Sharp did not see her that way. She only saw her as a problem. When Jamie left, Miss Sharp felt a bit worried. She thought, who will cook now? Who will work hard for me? But Miss Sharp did not show her worry. She just shouted, "Why is this order not ready yet? Hurry up!" I stayed quiet. I was used to her yelling, but inside, I felt a little upset. I didn't like how she treated everyone. She stole tips from us, called us names, and said mean things. She thought she was the boss and could do anything. Today, Ms. Sharp was especially mean. She yelled at the other workers too. She called them lazy and told them to work faster. She pushed and pointed her finger. I kept my head down and tried not to cry. Sometimes I wished I could just run away, but I knew I had to stay. I had to pretend I was okay. I wanted things to get better someday. As I worked, I looked at Ms. Sharp. I wondered if she ever felt sad inside. She acted so strong, so bossy, but I saw her face was a little pale. Maybe she was nervous. Maybe she was afraid of losing her power. Suddenly, Ms. Sharp shouted, "Alex, come here!" I walked over slowly. My heart beat faster. I wondered what she was going to say. She looked at me and said, "You are too quiet. Why don't you talk more? Are you afraid of me?" I looked down and said, "No, ma'am, I just like to work quietly." She scoffed. "You should talk more. People like you are too scared to stand up. That's why you stay quiet." I wanted to say something back, but I didn't. I just nodded. Miss Sharp looked at me and then turned away. But I saw her face was not as proud as before. It was like a crack was in her mask of confidence. Later that day, she called Jamie, but Jamie was not there anymore. She had already left. Miss Sharp yelled at the air, "Where is she? She should be here working." She looked angry, but I saw a tiny sign of sadness. Maybe she knew she had lost her best worker. That evening, after the restaurant closed, I sat with the others. We whispered to each other. We couldn't say much, but we all felt the same way inside. We wanted her to stop being so mean. We hoped she would see that kindness is better than cruelty. But we knew for now, we had to stay quiet. We had to wait and see what would happen next. As I walked home that night, I looked up at the sky. The stars shone softly. I thought about Jamie, about Tom, and about myself. I wished for a day when everyone would be treated kindly. I wished for a day when I could speak up without fear. But for now, I kept my hope inside my heart. Because I knew, even in the darkest moments, quiet hope can grow. And maybe, just maybe, someday, things would get better. I woke up early that morning. I was nervous, but also excited. I knew something was going to change today. It felt like a new beginning, but I didn't know exactly what would happen. The restaurant was quiet. The sun was shining through the windows. I cleaned the tables slowly, trying to stay calm. I looked around and saw the empty chairs and the old kitchen. It looked the same as always, but I felt different inside. Ms. Sharp had not come yet. She was probably still angry about Jamie leaving. She liked to start her day very early, shouting at someone or taking things for herself. I tried not to think about her. I just kept working quietly. Suddenly, I heard footsteps at the door. It was Tom, my boyfriend. He came in quietly, smiling. I felt my heart beat faster. I liked seeing him. "Good morning," he said softly. "Are you ready for today?" I nodded. "I hope something good happens." Tom looked around the restaurant. "Things are changing." "I think so." I looked at him. "What do you mean?" He leaned closer. "I have a plan. It is small, but I think it will help Jamie and maybe teach Miss Sharp something important." I looked at him carefully. "What kind of plan?" He smiled a little. "I will go to the restaurant today. I will act like a normal customer. I will say kind words about Jamie. I want Miss Sharp to hear it. I want her to see that Jamie is special." I felt surprised. "Will that work?" He nodded. "I think so. Sometimes quiet words can be stronger than loud shouting." I took a deep breath. "Okay, I believe in you." Tom looked confident. "Good. I will try to be invisible, but very clear. I want to show that kindness is stronger than cruelty." I watched him leave. Then I went back to work, feeling a little nervous, but hopeful. Later, the restaurant started to get busy. I saw the other workers moving quickly. I saw Jamie outside, waiting nearby. She looked calm and happy, even though she was not inside. Suddenly, I saw Tom come inside. He sat at a table where no one was sitting. He ordered some food from Jamie, who smiled when she took his order. Jamie was working hard, but I knew she was still sad. I wished she could come back. I wished Miss Sharp would see something different today. Then, something happened that I didn't expect. Tom finished his meal and stood up. He looked at Jamie and everyone else. He took a deep breath and spoke loud enough for Miss Sharp to hear. "Excuse me," he said kindly. "I want to say something important." Miss Sharp was passing by. She looked at Tom with a frown. She didn't like being interrupted. Tom kept talking. "Jamie is the best chef here. Her food is really special. She works very hard, and she is kind. I think she deserves respect." Miss Sharp stopped. Her face turned red. She looked surprised and angry. She wanted to shout, but she couldn't. The words had already come out. Everyone looked at her. The workers and some customers saw her face. I saw her eyes narrow. She looked like she had been hit with something sharp. I knew she was feeling her pride break just a little. Jamie looked at Tom with big eyes. She was happy inside but kept calm. She whispered thank you to him. Miss Sharp didn't say anything. She turned around quickly and walked away. She looked upset and quiet. I felt a warm feeling in my chest. I was happy and proud of Tom. I knew that quiet words can be very powerful. After that, the restaurant was different. Miss Sharp was not as loud or as bossy. She seemed to think more before she spoke. The workers looked at each other and nodded. We all knew something had changed, even if she didn't say it out loud. Jamie came inside later, smiling. She thanked me and the others for waiting. She said she was ready for new chances. That day, I realized something important. No matter how quiet we are, we can still make a big difference. Sometimes the kindest words are the strongest, and when we wait patiently, justice can come quietly but surely. As the day ended, I felt hopeful. Things may be hard now, but I knew that in my heart, the right thing was happening. Quietly but surely, justice was coming, and I was ready to keep waiting and hoping for better days. I thought about what had happened in the restaurant. Things were starting to change, but not all at once. Miss Sharp still looked proud and bossy, but I could see some worry deep in her eyes. She was quiet more often now, not shouting all the time. Maybe she was feeling the cracks in her power. Tom had done something brave. He had spoken up as a customer and told Jamie she was the best chef in the place. That moment had changed everything. Miss Sharp was angry and surprised when she heard. I saw her face turn red. She tried to act like she didn't care, but I knew her pride was hurt. I sat at my small table, watching everything. I was still quiet, but inside I felt something new. I felt a tiny spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, things could get better. I wished that someday the boss would learn to be kind instead of mean. I wished I could be brave like Tom, who had stood up quietly but strongly. Jamie was gone now, but I still remembered her smile when she left. She had looked sad but also brave. She had made a hard choice. I knew she was somewhere better now, safe and happy. Her leaving was a big step for justice. Sometimes you have to leave a bad place to find a better one. Tom was sitting close to me. He looked calm but happy. I reached out and touched his hand. I wanted to say thank you without words. He looked at me and smiled. His smile said, "We did something good." Things are changing. Miss Sharp was walking around, trying to keep her usual strict look. But I saw her glance at Tom and then at the door. She seemed unsure. Maybe she was wondering what would happen next. I kept quiet, but inside I felt stronger. I knew that even small steps could make a big difference. A kind word or a brave act can change everything, even if no one else sees it. I learned that quiet strength is powerful. I looked around at the other staff. Some of them were watching Miss Sharp carefully. Others were whispering quietly. We all knew things weren't perfect yet, but we could see the change. We could feel it. I took a deep breath. I thought about what I wanted. I wanted to be brave like Tom, to stand up when it's right. I wanted to believe that kindness could win. I wanted to believe that even the quiet ones can make a big difference. As the day went on, Miss Sharp tried to act like everything was normal. But I knew better. I knew she was feeling the quiet storm inside her. Maybe she was learning that cruelty can't last forever. Maybe she was starting to see that real strength comes from kindness and patience. I looked out the window and thought about the future. It might be slow, but I believed in the power of quiet justice. A small act, a kind word, a brave choice, these can light the way. I knew that someday, everything would be better. And I decided that I would be part of that change. I would be quiet but strong. I would wait and hope for good things. Because sometimes the best way to fight is to stay calm and believe that justice will come. Just like the match that lights a tiny fire and makes a big blaze, small acts can start a big change. I smiled softly. I felt ready for whatever came next, because I knew, deep inside, that kindness and patience are the strongest weapons of all, and I was ready to use mine. I wake up early. I feel a little nervous. Today feels different. I walk to the small shop where Miss Sharp now works. She is there, silent and serious. She looks around, trying to seem important, but I can see she is worried inside. I stand outside for a moment. I remember everything that happened, how she was mean to us, how Jamie left because of her. I think about Tom, my boyfriend. He helped us in a quiet way. Now, I want to see if he can do something again. I walk in quietly. I see Miss Sharp at the counter. She notices me and frowns. She asks, "What do you want?" I say, "Hi, I just want to see how you are today." She looks surprised. "Why do you care?" she asks sharply. I don't say anything. I just stand there. I feel stronger now. I am not scared like before. I want to do something kind. I want to show her that being kind is better than being mean. Suddenly, I hear a voice. It is Tom, my boyfriend. He is dressed as a customer. He walks over to the counter. He smiles kindly at Miss Sharp. "Hello," Tom says softly. "I heard about your restaurant. I came to try your food." Miss Sharp eyes him carefully. She asks, "Why are you here?" Tom looks at her and says, "I want to tell you something important." His voice is calm but firm. "I was here last week. I saw the chef, Jamie. She's very talented. Her food is special. Without her, your restaurant would not be the same." Miss Sharp's eyes widen. She looks surprised. She frowns and tries to hide her feelings. I watch her. I feel happy inside. Tom has said something true. It is a simple compliment, but it hits her hard. She tries to say something, but she doesn't know what to say. Her face turns red. She looks away. Tom continues, "You should be proud of your staff. They work hard. They make your restaurant good." Miss Sharp takes a deep breath. For a moment, she looks confused. She's used to being the boss. She's used to yelling and taking everything for herself. But now, she feels something different. She feels her pride breaking a little. I see the staff watching. They are quiet. They see Miss Sharp's face change. They see her lose a little of her harshness. After a moment, Miss Sharp says, "Thank you." Her voice is softer. She looks down. She doesn't look angry now. Tom smiles gently. "You have a good restaurant," he says, "but it will be better if everyone is treated kindly." He turns to leave. I follow him outside. We walk away together. I feel happy. I know we did something small but important. Inside the shop, I see Miss Sharp standing quietly. She looks at her hands. She looks at the door. She is thinking. I know that this small moment can change things. Maybe she will think more about being kind. Maybe she will change little by little. I feel hope inside me. I know that quiet words can be strong. Sometimes a kind word can hurt more than a loud insult. As I walk away, I look up at the sky. I feel stronger than before. I realize that standing up with kindness can be more powerful than yelling or cruelty. I smile to myself. Today, I learned that sometimes the best revenge is just being kind. Quiet, patient, and true. And I know that this is only the start. Things can get better. The quiet voice can be the strongest of all. I woke up feeling quiet inside. It was the day after Tom's big moment. I had watched him speak in front of Miss Sharp. I saw her face fall. I could tell she was hurt and surprised. I didn't say much that morning. I just went to work. The restaurant was still noisy and busy. Customers came in, and Jamie cooked in her usual calm way. The other staff moved around quickly. Miss Sharp was there too. She looked at everyone with a strange look. Her face was serious, but her eyes looked softer. She didn't yell or shout. She was quieter than usual. I could see she was thinking about something. Maybe she was tired of being mean. Maybe she was feeling a little embarrassed. I stayed quiet. I didn't want to cause trouble. But I thought about what had happened yesterday. Tom's words had made a big change. Maybe kindness could do more than anger. Later, I saw Miss Sharp walk past me. She stopped for a moment. She looked at me and then down at her feet. I didn't say anything. She didn't say anything either. It was strange. I felt hope. Maybe she was starting to see that being mean wasn't the right way. Maybe she was beginning to change. Jamie came over and smiled at me. "You look different today," she said softly. "Maybe things are getting better." I nodded. "I hope so," I said. Tom's words made her think. Maybe she's tired of being angry all the time. Jamie nodded. "Sometimes being kind is stronger than being cruel," she said. "It takes courage to be kind, even when others aren't, but it can change everything." I looked around. The restaurant still had noise and movement, but I felt calmer. I knew that quietness and patience can be powerful. That day, I decided to be more brave and kind. I wanted to show Miss Sharp that I was not afraid anymore. I wanted her to see that being kind is the real strength. Not shouting, not stealing tips, not hurting others. As the day went on, I kept working. I helped a little more, smiled a little more. I felt like I was part of something better, something that could grow if I stayed patient. At the end of the day, I looked around again. Miss Sharp was at her desk. She still looked tired, but she was no longer bossy. She seemed different, more quiet, more thoughtful. I hoped that maybe soon she would see that being kind is stronger than being mean. I hoped that the quiet words and small acts of kindness could make a big change. I thought about Tom's plan. I thought about Jamie's courage. I thought about how quiet people can be the strongest of all. That night, I went home feeling a little happier. I knew that even small, quiet acts can be like tiny lights. They can shine through darkness. And someday, maybe everyone can learn to be kind, just like Tom showed us. I went to sleep dreaming of a better day. A day when everyone would be gentle and respectful. A day when justice is quiet but strong. And I knew that as long as we stay patient and kind, we can help make that day come. I wake up early and walk to the small shop where Miss Sharp now works. It is not the big restaurant anymore. She seems different. She looks more tired and quieter. She still wears her stern face, but I can see she's not as confident as before. Maybe she feels strange without her usual power. I remember what happened before, how Tom spoke up as a customer and said kind words to Jamie. That moment started to change everything. Now, Miss Sharp is not the same boss. She's more quiet and unsure. I feel a little happy inside. I am glad that kindness and patience can make a difference. It's nice to see her look less angry. Maybe she's thinking about what she did. Maybe she's feeling a little sad or confused. I walk inside and see her behind the counter. She looks at me and gives a small nod. She does not yell or say mean words. That is different from before. I walk closer and say softly, "Hello, Miss Sharp." She looks at me and nods again. She seems to be trying to be polite. I wonder if she feels embarrassed about what happened. I think she's learning that being cruel is not the way to get respect. I go to my corner and start my work. I see her walk around slowly, looking at the small shop. She does not shout or complain. She just does her work quietly. I feel proud. I know she's not the same person she was before. Later, I sit with Tom and tell him what I see. He smiles and says, "She's starting to change." Quiet words and patience can be very strong. Sometimes people need to see that kindness is better than cruelty. I agree. It feels good to see her like this. Maybe she will learn that being kind makes life better for everyone. I hope so. That day, I understand something important. When someone is mean, they're often afraid inside. They hide their fears behind anger. But if you are patient and kind, you can help them see a different way. I look around the small shop. It's still busy, but everything feels calmer now. The air is lighter. The big fight is over, but the real change is just beginning. At the end of the day, I sit quietly and think. I realize that quiet moments can be very powerful. They can bring truth, change, and hope. Sometimes, the best way to fight cruelty is not with loud words, but with gentle patience and kindness. I walk home with Tom. We hold hands and talk about the future. We know that things are not perfect yet, but they are better. We believe that one day, everyone will learn that being kind is stronger than being mean. And I feel happy inside. Because I know that even in a small place, quiet justice can grow. It's like a tiny spark that can light a big fire of change. And I am glad I'm part of that change. I walk through the small shop where Miss Sharp now works. It's quiet here. She's standing by a shelf, looking at the boxes of things for sale. She seems different from the boss I knew at the restaurant. She's not shouting or bossy. Instead, she looks a little shy and unsure. I see her take a small step back. She's not as confident as she used to be. I remember how she used to yell at everyone, take their tips, and hurt people with her words. Now she seems sad and quiet. Sometimes she just watches without saying anything. I think she feels confused. She lost her big power. She's trying to fit into this small shop. Maybe she's learning that being kind is better than being mean. I stand near her and look at her carefully. She notices me and nods politely. She does not say much. I feel a little sad for her. She made many people unhappy, but now she's trying to change. I wonder if she's really learning her lesson. I walk outside and see Alex sitting on a bench nearby. She looks happier than before. Her eyes are bright and she's smiling. I go to her and sit down. She looks at me and says, "I think Miss Sharp is different now. She's quieter. Maybe she's starting to understand." I nod. Yes, I think so. She seems softer now. Maybe she's feeling what it is like to be treated kindly. I hope she keeps learning. Alex nods back. I feel stronger now. I don't want to be silent forever. But I also want to be patient. I think that quiet strength can help us. We sit together for a moment. The shop is quiet and the sun is shining. I feel happy and hopeful. I know that everyone is changing, even Miss Sharp. Sometimes it takes a while for people to see the truth. But when they do, they can become better. I look around and see Jamie walk by. She smiles and waves. She's in a new place now, feeling proud of herself. She left the restaurant because she deserved respect. She's working somewhere where people appreciate her talent. Tom is nearby too. He's sitting on a small bench, reading a book. He always stays calm and kind. I admire him. He showed us that quiet words can be very strong. He helped us see that patience and kindness can change everything. As I watch everyone, I think about what I learned. The biggest changes happen quietly. When we are patient and kind, we can make big differences. No need for loud words or big fights. Sometimes, the quietest voice is the most powerful. I stand up and stretch. I feel a new strength inside me. I am not afraid to speak up now, but I know that patience and kindness are the best tools. Miss Sharp may still have a long way to go, but I believe she can learn. I believe everyone can. I take a deep breath and smile. Today I feel a little more hopeful. The quiet revenge is still happening. It's not loud, but it's strong. It's the victory of kindness over cruelty. And I know that this is only the beginning. The best part is still to come. I walk through the small shop where Miss Sharp now works. It's quiet here. She stands behind the counter, looking around, a little unsure. She used to be loud and bossy, but now she's more quiet and careful. I see her glance at the other workers, then look down. Her face is not the same as before. The proud, cruel boss is changing. I feel happy inside. I remember how she used to shout and push people around. She took tips from the staff and yelled even when someone was sad. She made everyone afraid. But now, she seems different. She's learning that being kind is better than being mean. I walk closer and see Alex talking softly with some customers. She looks stronger than before. Her eyes are brave now. She used to stay quiet when Miss Sharp shouted. Now she stands tall. She learned that being silent is not always the answer. Sometimes, patience and quiet strength can do more than any shouting. Jamie is here too. She's working at a new restaurant. She looks happy and proud. She makes delicious food. She left the old place because she was treated badly. Now, she's doing what she loves. She smiles when she sees her new coworkers. She's confident and kind. She knows she's worth more than harsh words. Tom is with me. He's calm and kind. He helped all of us. A while ago, he made a plan. He pretended to be a customer and told Miss Sharp something that shocked her. He said, "Jamie is the best chef here. Her food is very special." Miss Sharp heard this and looked surprised. Her face changed. She was proud at first, but then she looked upset. Her pride was hurt. I remember that moment. It was a quiet but strong act. Tom's words were like a small match that started a big fire. Miss Sharp's harshness began to fall apart. She tried to pretend she didn't hear, but everyone saw her face. She looked confused and a little sad. Now she walks slowly through the shop. Her head is down a little. She's not shouting anymore. Her power is gone, not because she lost a job, but because she lost her pride. She made herself look small. The others don't say much, but they feel happy inside. They know that justice can come quietly. I go outside with Tom. We stand in the fresh air. The sun is shining. I feel peaceful. Miss Sharp has learned a big lesson. Cruelty doesn't last. Kindness and patience can be stronger. Sometimes, being quiet and gentle is the best way to stand up for yourself. I look at my friends. Alex, Jamie, and Tom are all stronger now. They're not afraid. They know that doing what is right is more important than shouting or hurting others. They are learning that the best justice is quiet but real. It can grow like a small seed into a big tree. Finally, I think about what I learned. Underestimate the quiet ones, I say to myself, because they can be the strongest. They can light the biggest match, the one that starts something good and true. As we walk away, I feel proud. We didn't need loud words or big fights. We only needed patience, kindness, and a little courage. That is how justice wins, quietly but forever. The end.